What is up, fight fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sports Not and Ringside Intel here to do UFC 319 predictions. We're going to go through just the main card fights, also one little featured fight from the prelims. Not going to go through all the bouts. We're just going to go to some of the better ones. So let's jump right into it. Our first one we want to talk about is Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez at strawweight on the prelims. This one's an interesting one because I think this is a fight that could easily turn to a fight of the night barn burner. Jessica Andrade is starting to kind of lose a lot more lately. The signs of a hard, long career is starting to show, even though she's only like 33. And, she's picking up some losses, but she's still a very dangerous fighter. Hard to beat, nasty power, as we all know. Godinez is a good fighter, really good wrestling. This is an interesting fight now. If Godinez can't get the takedowns, I can totally see this turn to just a wild brawl because Lupita is down to scrap. She has, so we know Jessica Andrade will do the same. I can see this one being a fight that fans need to keep an eye on the prelims. That said, I am picking Lupita to win by split decision. I think it'll be a fun fight, interesting fight. But I think at this point in her career, Lupita is just a better fighter. If this was 4 years ago, obviously Jessica Andrade's fantastic. She's a Hall of Famer. She'd probably be a huge favorite, but different times now. Moving on from there, let's get to the first fight, the opener of the main card. That is Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. This is a fun fight. This is another one that could be really interesting. Tim Elliott always makes fights dirty and wild because it plays to his strengths. Asakura got thrown right into the deep end of his UFC career after being a superstar and risen by having to fight Alexander Pantoja in his UFC debut for title. Yeah, he lost. He was submitted in that fight, but there were points where Kai, he looked good in that fight, and I think the fight is set up for him to get a nice big bounce back win. Tim Elliott's always tough. Even Alexander Volkanovski recently suggested he has the ability to maybe score an upset here. But I just think at this point in his career, at 38, it's always tough to be at the lower divisions, closing on 40. I think he's really pushed his body to the limits. I think Asakura is just younger, faster, more dynamic. I think this is a good match for him. That said, Elliott could make it interesting for the first few rounds. That said, with that in mind, I still think Asakura is going to get a TKO round 2 finish and get back in the win column. Moving on from there, Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. Michael Page moving up to middleweight. Two older guys, not in their prime anymore, still really high-level fighters. It's kind of a fight for relevancy to be within the rankings and be considered a top 15 type of fighter, maybe move on to another big fight in 2026. Cannonier got a big bounce back win against Gregor Rodriguez in his last fight. What kind of showed, okay, yeah, he was losing. He's 41. This is, he's pushing the limits of his athleticism and his prime years beyond it at this point, and he still got a win. Michael Page, though, is not a spring chicken either. He's 38, but I just think at this point, even then, he still has that classic difficult fight style with the side angle, the karate. For a guy like him, you need fantastic grappling to get in there and take him down, and explosiveness. And at this point, grappling's never been something Cannonier focuses on in his game plan. He could do it. And he's at 41, he doesn't have the explosive he once has as an athlete to get in there and close the distance on Page. So I feel like this is a well-made matchup for Michael Venom Page to get a win. I think he will. I think it'll be by unanimous decision. I don't think Cannonier's getting finished, but at this point in his career, reflexes slow down. Maybe he does get caught with something by Michael Page, and Page gets to finish. On from there, moving on to the welterweight division, Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. I think this is also an interesting fight, a good fight. Jeff Neal's always a tough out, always been a good fighter, hovering around the top 15, maybe in the top 10 sometimes in his career. He's always tough, got pop in his hand, good boxing and stuff like that. But I think at this point in his career, he's missed his best opportunities to really become a top contender. He's kind of got enough wear and tear in his body. He's at an age where he's kind of leaving his prime. While on the flip side, not to say that Prates is a better, more technical fighter, but he's right in his prime. Nasty power punching skills, very dangerous. He gave Ian Gary a tough fight. Gary got the win. I just feel like this is kind of one of those perfect situations when Neal had his time, but that time as a top fighter is kind of done, and Prates gets a big win. He gets the victory over Nia. I'm going to pick him by unanimous decision. On to the co-main event, Jerome Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico making his UFC debut. This guy was once like the super prospect of MMA when he was in Bellator. Big things expected of him to become a superstar, a lot like what's going on sort of recently with Bo Nickel. But he's had a lot of highs and lows, Chris. Some big knockout wins and some big knockout losses. He also fought a little bit in PFL, and a case could be made. He's 28, which is crazy because he's been around for so long. He's only 28. Maybe he's hitting his prime. Maybe that's why he's looked at as a favorite going into this fight. People feel that he's really found himself. He's found his MMA, his skills, and he's going to go on a run here in the UFC. I don't think that, though. I just think he's getting thrown into the deep end against an elite featherweight, top 5, top 10 kind of fighter. Jerome Murphy's from this new breed of stars from the UK where once up, just take them down, they're done. Well, but they're just better grapplers now. They can either stop the takedowns or they can get back up for them and not just be dead on the floor for much of a fight. Pico is dangerous, obviously, with his hand. He's got big power, but he's got to get this fight to the ground. If he doesn't, this plays to Murphy's style. He's a very good points fighter, kind of like Leon Edwards and stuff like that. And even then, he against in his last fight against Josh Emmett, he got taken down 4 times, still got up and still won that fight. I think this fight will mirror that way. Although I think Pico can be gotten to and he can be had a little bit. So I'm actually going to pick Murphy getting a TKO round 3 in the co-main event, move on to possibly title fight early next year. And on to the main event, the fight everybody wants to see, Khamzat Chimaev against Dricus du Plessis DDP. This should be a fun fight. I don't know how, if it's going to go the distance. I don't think it will. If it does, boy, that plays into DDP's hands because as DDP is a flawed fighter, without a doubt. He can be punched, he can be taken down, but this guy has his pressure, his durability, his unpredictable, strange striking, underrated grappling. Like, that's why he's a top 10 fighter. Yeah, he can be beat, but when he keeps fighting guys, he doesn't get beat. Like, he's just a puzzle that's difficult for the elite fighters to deal with. Chimaev, the big thing here is his cardio. We all know it. If the longer the fight goes, he's less menacing. And in a 5-round fight, man, it's going to be interesting. It gets around 4 or 5. I think that plays to DDP's strength. However, I just think he's a notable favorite for a reason. He's just such a talented, gifted fighter. He's the perfect merging of Khabib Nurmagomedov dominance with Conor McGregor trash talk. I think his skill set is just going to be too dominant again. I can see DDP having moments. Also, I don't think Chimaev as confident as cocky he can seem. I don't think it's a dumb fight. I think he's going to come prepared. I think he's going to constantly work in his gas tank. He's going to fight smart. I think he fully respects DDP and his skill set and the dangers and how big a fight for him in this moment is. I think it'll go 3 rounds. I don't think it's going to go this done. I think Chimaev's going to get the submission finish. He's going to eventually wear down DDP with that outstanding grappling, serious ground and pound. I think he gets the finish and begins the Khamzat Chimaev Boers era at middleweight. Those are my pick for UFC 319. Who do you got on Saturday night?